Hello, beautiful people. Today is 3rd of October. My name is Sahil, and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So, today we'll see a quote from the Amartya Sen, the Nobel Prize laureate and most popularly known for his idea of justice as well as for welfare economics. Now, guys, Amartya Sen says that progress is mere plausibly judged by the reduction of deprivation, then by further enrichment of the opulent. Now, guys, here Amartya Sen has equated the idea of progress with the deprivation. Now, deprivation could be majorly of three types. First could be the economic deprivation, where we see that whether a person is having the material means to keep his body and his soul together, most plausibly judged by the poverty levels. Second is the social deprivation, where we see that whether the caste, color, religion based distinctions are existing in an inferior way or not. The third is the physical deprivation, where we also call it as the natural deprivation. Though we cannot do much for the natural deprivation, but we can work here by making their life more fulfilled by providing them avenues so that they can also exercise their choices. Now, guys, these three deprivations have to be reduced. The wealth has to be created so that these three groups of people can also come to a level where they can live a meaningful life, and that will be the proper progress, rather than developing or creating the wealth and giving that wealth to few such big corporates or capitalists or a one particular class. So, guys, the real progress is not by how much in real terms an economy is having, rather in how much properly the wealth is properly distributed. So, guys, such idea could be utilized into the GS paper number 2, into GS paper number 3, GS paper number 4, as well as into the essay. So, guys, that's all about today's GS folder, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper first. And guys, one announcement, friends, tomorrow, that is Sunday, there will be no newspaper analysis for tomorrow. Now, guys, taking up the news items, first here we can see that the Supreme Court has made some observation with respect to the abatement of the suicide. So we'll see the issues with respect to the suicide here. After that, guys, here we can see that the instance of the witch hunting has been mentioned. So with respect to the witch hunting, we'll see the issues with respect to the GS paper number 1 and 2. Then, guys, here just one liner concept, that is the 16% of PDS rice stocks in Madhya Pradesh is unfit, and this is the problem in nearly in all the states because of the unscientific storage condition into the FCI godowns. Then, guys, moving forward, the city as well as regional section is filled with the issues, matters of the regional concern, not important for our exam. Now, guys, we are into the onto the editorial page, and this particular news pertains to the biodiversity. Recently, the United Nations Summit on Biodiversity has been concluded. So, in that particular thing, we'll see the matter. Then, guys, this particular thing talks about the discrepancies with respect to the public finance in India. So, we'll see the matter. Then, guys, this particular article and this particular article talks about the recent presidential debate held between the Joe Biden and the Donald Trump. However, guys, with respect to the exam, not important. Then this article talks about the recent Hathras incident. So, guys, the one-to-one accounts have been mentioned here. Guys, not important. This is the ground zero report, not really relevant with respect to our exam. After that, guys, here we can see that the threefold increase into the leopard capture translocation has been observed, which goes against the 2011 guidelines. We'll see the issue. Then here the pattas have been talked about. After that, guys, here we can see that into the United Nations General Assembly, the address have been made by the Minister for Women and Child Development. So, guys, we'll see that what we can utilize here with respect to our mains exam. After that, friends, moving forward, so here we can see that the same issues with respect to the rising number of COVID cases, etc., has been mentioned. After that, guys, the showcase page not important for our exam. Then, guys, here we can see that the again US elections, etc., are going on, not really relevant. After that, guys, moving forward, here we are onto the business page, and now the NCLAT ruling has been mentioned here, so we'll see how we can utilize it. After that, guys, the sports page is there, nothing important has been given. So that's it, friends, for today, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, guys, the first news pertains to the witch hunting, where two people have been killed and cremated. Now, the witch hunting is the superstitious cultural violence where people believe that certain individuals, they don't have a pious or they don't have a pure origination. They think that some people have a wicked or an evil origination, and these people are basically incarnations of something bad. Okay, and these people are segregated and they are killed into the greater benefit of the entire their tribe or their group. Now witch hunting was very prominently practiced into the medieval Europe, where it was believed that the people who don't believe into the ideas of church, they were the descendants of the evil, or they were the descendants of something dark, and therefore their large number of women, people, enlightened scholars, they were killed and they were burnt. Now, coming to India, so into India also there are certain tribes or there are certain backward regions where people still believe into the existence of witch, and therefore even till today the witchcraft is being practiced. Now, guys, if I tell you, according to the National Crime Record Bureau, between 2000 to 2016, 2,500 people have been branded as witches. They have been chased, tortured, or killed. And into this, the highest number of instances have come from the state of Jharkhand. Now, guys, further moving, we don't have any legislation with respect to the witchcraft. Only section 323 of IPC, which deals with hurting a person, is basically this particular provision is used to deal with the cases of the witchcraft. Now, the present news article pertains to the state of Assam, where two people have been killed because of the witchcraft. Now, guys, only Assam is the one state in our country which is having a specific law to deal with the witchcraft. That is the Assam Witch Hunting Act of 2015. The bill was raised in 2015. It was given assent by the president in 2018. Now, guys, this particular act provides that the witch hunting can be punished by the life imprisonment as well as a fine up to 5 lakh rupees. Now, Assam is also very notorious into the witch hunting. Now, guys, here some data has been given. So it has been said that between 2011 to 2019, 107 lives have been claimed by the witch hunting. So, guys, the same instance has now also occurred. Now, under our GS paper number 1, social issues, this witch hunting can be a prominent topic. Now, guys, with respect to the witch hunting in Assam, one particular project was also started in 2001. That was the Mission Prahari. In Mission Prahari, basically people were to be sensitized, and the offenses where the witch hunting has taken place, those things were to be further elevated for a proper enforcement, for a proper into the legal mechanisms it was raised, and all such kind of things were done. But, guys, still sadly today the witch hunting is existing. Now, many a times witch hunting is deliberately used against those people who are lower into the hierarchy, into a tribe or into a group, and many a times women are the prime targets of these witch huntings. So when women try to exercise their choice, or when women try to assert their autonomy, it is believed that they have some kind of an evil origin due to which they are doing, and it is better to exterminate that women, otherwise that particular woman or that particular person might be infesting others also. So, guys, basically these kind of things are being done, and it is a very kind of inhumanely kind of exercise. So, guys, this is all about this particular thing, very much utilizable in GS paper number 1 as well as in GS2 also. There could be some utilization. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, this particular news pertains to the Supreme Court's observation with respect to the abatement of the suicide. Now, first of all, when we talk about suicide, it is a tendency of knowingly hurting oneself and killing oneself due to some pre-existing factors. Now, guys, according to the Emil Durkheim, there could be 4 types of suicide. Fine, way under which, due to the different pressures, a person commits a suicide. Now, in India, section number 309 of the IPC condemned suicide and had said that any person who will commit suicide, he needs to face the penal provisions. But this particular provision was not needed into the present times, and therefore, guys, government realized in 2014 that a person committing suicide doesn't need a punishment, rather he needs a support. Therefore, government repealed the basically criminalization of suicide, and in 2017 mental health care act was passed, where it was said that the suicide is decriminalized and the support, psychological support, will be given to a person. So right now suicide is not a criminal activity as per section 309. Earlier it was, now it is not. Now coming to the present news. So this news pertains to the abatement of suicide. Now guys, before that I will explain you certain concepts. See, there is a concept of the mens rea. Mens rea means that when a person commits a suicide, there needs to be a particular state of mind, there needs to be a particular intention. Now this state of mind or this intention could be self caused, or this intention could be supported or could be instigated by a third person. Fine, either he tortures him, or he is feeding him to commit suicide, or he is helping him. Fine. So guys, when a third person is instigating, that process is called as the abatement of suicide. Abatement means to helping him or to instigate him to commit a suicide. Now abatement of suicide is also a criminalized, basically it is also criminalized as per the section number 306 of the IPC. Now guys, it has been observed by the Supreme Court into the present case that when a person is abetting another person to commit suicide, there needs to be a credible, demonstrable proof that he has forced him to commit suicide. Just you cannot say that it feels like that he had abated the suicide or she had abated the suicide. You need to have a demonstrable proof. Now guys, what happens many a times, it happens that into the matrimonial alliances, suppose a husband is committing a suicide, then it is assumed that the wife instigated him, or if wife commits a suicide, then it is assumed that the husband instigated him, and on that process a kind of a legal battle ensues. Now the Supreme Court was hearing one such particular case where a woman committed a suicide, and it was assumed that the husband, he instigated the women. So this particular mist has been clarified by Supreme Court. It has been said that just mere assumption cannot be the matter for ruling. There needs to be a proof. So guys, only this particular thing has been provided into this particular article. I hope you have understood. Now guys, suicide as a tendency, as it has become a very problematic thing, and right now also by the suicide of the Bollywood actor Sushant Singh Rajput, suicides have been much they are being discussed into the ethical circles, into the sociological circles. So guys, there could even be a question onto this particular line, so please keep all these things into your mind. So guys, that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article is talking about the government's discrepancies with respect to the non-transfer of cess, their economic impacts and all such kind of things. Now guys, we had already discussed also this particular article. However, now some 2-3 things have been clubbed together. So if you have not seen it, we will again be making it as what are the prominent things. Now, this particular article, first of all, is highly important for GS paper number 2, the topic of fiscal federalism, as well as GS paper number 3, public finances. Now, guys, it has been said that recently the Controller Auditor General of India submitted the financial audit report of Government of India for the year 2018 and 2019, and it has found certain discrepancies. What are the discrepancy? Discrepancy number 1 is this, that it had found in 2017-18 as well as 2018-19 there were excess GST compensation cess which was collected by the government. Now guys, GST compensation cess is imposed on certain luxury goods, sin items, luxury goods such as the SUV cars, sin items such as the tobacco, etc. Now that particular money which comes, originally it was the intention that such money will be given to the state government if they will face any fall into their revenue. Now guys, such excess money, nearly 48,000 crore rupees were collected. But guys, this money was not given to the state government. Now this particular year, it has been said that due to the present crisis, there will be the shortfall of 3 lakh crore rupees into the GST, and the states have been given an option that on their own they can borrow such money. Central government is not giving. Question has been raised that when for 2 years you raised excess money, you didn't give that excess money to the state government. Now if you are not receiving the money, you are imposing the liability onto the state government. Either these 48,000 crore rupees could be given, or now you should help them as per your promise. So guys, this is one discrepancy. GST compensation fund over collected but not given. Then guys, other discrepancy is that the IGST, that is the integrated GST. Now integrated GST is collected when the transaction between the two states is happening. Is it clear? The deal, basically the sale from one state to another state is happening. Now total money that was raised by the IGST has also not been credited to the state. The money has been retained into the consolidated fund of India. The third discrepancy is that, guys, government is levying more than 35 cess, or 35 cess to be precise. These cesses, now first of all, what is a cess? Cess is a kind of a basically tax on tax, or it could be also a tax onto the basically the value of the transaction. For example, Swachh Bharat cess is levied onto the value of the services that are being given. So cess is an amount which is levied on a financial transaction, and the money which we will be collected by the cess will be going directly to the center government. And as per article number 271 of Indian constitution, cess need not to be divided or given to the state government. Is it clear? Cess's money will be government's own, but cess money can only be utilized for the specific purpose for which the cess was collected. For example, if it is a Swachh Bharat cess, money can also be only be utilized for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. If it is education cess, money can only be utilized for the education. So guys, 35 different type of cesses are being levied. Their money either needs to be go to a specific board which has been created for it, or to a specific fund which has been created. Now guys, in 2018-19, government collected cess worth rupees 2.75 lakh crore and gave only 1.64 lakh crore rupees to their specific fund or to specific board. All such money has been retained into the consolidated fund of India. What is its implication? Its implication is such that then that money can be utilized for other purposes also, and not it is being given for the specific purpose for which the cess was collected. Now guys, there is other implication of that particular thing, that government by having more money into the CFI showed that our deficit was less. Now guys, if you are earning 100 rupees and spending 120 rupees, 20 rupees is your deficit. Now the money came from the cess, and government didn't declare that this extra money which we are having is the cess money. So therefore what happened, the deficit was shown as artificially low, because guys, basically it has been said that this difference money, it basically translates to 1.2% of our GDP. So this is a huge money. Now guys, further it has been said that when you are not using the cess money, why you are levying the cess? First of all, it has been said that when GST was announced, it was said that it will integrated all cess, taxes, etc. So even after installing GST, the cess is being levied, 35 cesses are there. Now guys, there could be a justification also that when the 14th Finance Commission came, it said that the money which will be going to the state government needs to be increased. 42% of the total money that is being raised by the government by the way of the taxes, that is to be given to the state government. Okay, you center needs money, therefore you are levying that cess, no problem. But why you are then not using those cess money? Now guys, here two provisions I have written again. That was article 270. Article 270 says that whatever tax central government is collecting, it has to be shared with the state government as per the recommendation given by the Finance Commission. Now guys, to bypass this, article 271 is there. It says that the surcharge and cess which government is collecting, it need not to be shared with the state government. Therefore 35 different type of cesses central government is levying, so that they don't have to share. But guys, such kind of thing is not sounding good into the fiscal dharma of a center government. So guys, these are the emerging issues which are coming here as a dimension. We can provide it into our answers, or there could be a full-fledged answer also onto this particular line. So guys, that's all just here, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the biodiversity, ecology and its challenges, and will be utilized into GS paper number 3. Now guys, just 3-4 days back, the United Nations Summit on Biodiversity has concluded. And guys, there a link has been made between the biodiversity loss and the spread of the pathogen diseases. It has been said that earlier human beings were living at a distance from the ecology, and because of this division, because of this boundary, the pathogens which are originally living into the animals ecology, they were not jumping into the humans and were not spreading the pandemic. Now, as this boundary is being erased day to day, what is happening? The natural vector borne diseases, which are basically living into such kind of animals, those pathogens, they are jumping into the humans, and we are seeing the pandemics. So therefore we need to respect the biodiversity, we need to respect the ecology, and all the government need to take a pledge that they will work in that particular direction. All these things have been concluded into the United Nations Summit on Biodiversity, which just held into the New York. Now guys, it has been said that will do actually be implementing those things? Now that is a question mark. HE targets were taken in 2010. Now guys, these targets have 5 strategic goals and 20 targets. It was said that 2010 to 2020 is a window where we will be fulfilling these 20 targets. Now guys, these targets have failed miserably. HE targets have not been utilized, and this thing has been concluded very evidently into the United Nations Global Biodiversity Outlook 5 report, as well as into the WWF's Living Planet Index report. It has been said that the animal population has declined, the distances have been very much reduced, and no regard has been taken. Countries, in just the spirit of economic growth for their material well-being, are exploiting the resources, they are entering into the jungles, and no regard for the biodiversity has been shown. Now guys, India also presented the case into this particular summit which has held, and had boasted that we always have, basically our ancient ideas are such that we always respect the biodiversity, but that particular thing is not also being having basically that particular thing is also not supportable by seeing what we are doing into the EIA. We just few days back discussed the environmental impact assessment 2020, where the rules have been changed. Now guys, taking EIA has been reduced, relaxed so much, so it has been said that India also is not doing very much good, and now it is a time that we should recall all the HE targets that were taken in 2010 into at the Nagoya meet, and they needs to be followed. So guys, just that's all this particular thing has been provided here. Too much specificities are not there, a kind of a general reminder to the humanity that we need to go towards a sustainable development. So guys, just that's it, and now we'll move to the next article. Now friends, this particular news article pertains to the man-animal conflict. Now, man-animal conflict is an instance where either the man enters into the animal's territory or animal enters into the man's territory, and as both are frightful of each other, there is a kind of a conflict, or there is a kind of a systemic violence between the two. Now such things are not required, because guys, it is a threat to both's existence. Now guys, it has been said that man animal conflict is now increasing because we, by the wake of our urbanization, expansion of our villages, cities, we are systemically entering into the territories of the animals. Now guys, it has been said that in 2011 the human leopard conflict management guidelines were brought, which were centered specifically towards the leopard. It was said here that whenever possible, leopards should not be relocated from one territory to other territory, because in that particular thing the leopard will get confused into the new territory, and there he will end up into a human settlement, and there will be a conflict. Moreover, it has also been said that leopard should not be captured from their territories. But guys, if we see the present stat, then we can see that there is a 3 times increase into the leopard capturement. Earlier, around 2011, 1.5 leopards were being captured every month, but now it has increased to 4.6. Moreover, leopards relocation has also increased from 1 to 3.5, and guys, it is directly in opposition to the human leopard conflict management guidelines. And guys, if such things are not stopped, then these instances of man animal conflict will increase further, and it is not beneficial to any of the community. So guys, this particular thing is now important. Why? Because we had seen that into the lockdown, many of the animals, they entered into the human settlement, and before the monsoon, when the summer heat increases, their intrusion increases even more further. So guys, in such type of a question, such reference of the guideline of 2011 you can give it. So guys, that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, here just one liner concept we need to see. That is the pattas. Now what are the pattas? Pattas are the land titles which are given to the scheduled tribes as well as forest dwellers. Now guys, in 2006 we passed the FRA, that is Forest Rights Act. There the rights of the scheduled tribes as well as forest dwellers have been recognized, and pattas are just their land title deeds. Why I am telling you? Because already into the UPSC it has been asked that what are the pattas. So pattas are the land title deeds. So guys, just that's it. However, into the news it has been said that how many tribals are given, how many pattas, not needed for our exam. Just that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the recent address by the Minister of Women and Child Development of India into the United Nations General Assembly. Now, just one line has been given here, which is a very good address. Guys, within this particular news item, much important thing is not there, but when the Minister of Women, WCD was addressing, she said that India had shifted the developmental strategy for the women. What was there? Earlier we were focusing on to the women's development, but now we are focusing on to the women led development. Now, what is women led development? It is that we will recognize the potential of the women. For example, in India, even till today, we have a very low women labor force participation rate, and according to much of the sources, it is just 25.5%. And it has been said by the IMF, former IMF chief Christine Lagarde, that onto the same level as the men, if women starts to work, then guys, our GDP can increase by 2.7 times our GDP can increase. So guys, we need to focus on the women led development. Though after this particular address, the government was criticized by various NGOs, and it was said that where is your women led development? There is systemic violences, rapes, or etc. of women which are going on, and government is not doing anything. However guys, that is a political matter, and only this particular expression, it is very good. We can utilize it in our essay or any question onto the women in GS paper number 2 social justice. So guys, just that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular news pertains to the NCLAT's ruling onto the insolvency and bankruptcy code. Now, what has happened? I will first of all give you the background. See, whenever a business is not able to perform good, whenever a business has much more liabilities than the asset that they are having, they go and file for a bankruptcy. Then guys, that bankruptcy is settled into a systemic manner, and when the bankruptcy is settled, the status of insolvency is given. Now, what will be the difference between the bankruptcy and insolvency? Bankruptcy is my declaration that I am now not able to pay to all the people. Then a kind of a process will be happening where my all assets, whatever I am having, it will be seen, it will be liquidated, and the money in proportionate to all the person from whom I have taken the money, their accounts will be settled. Now guys, in India, the process of bankruptcy and insolvency was very much slow. So therefore, government brought the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of 2016, where it has said that insolvency resolution for the individuals, partnership firms, companies will be done into a time-bound manner process. One Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India was made. There will be insolvency resolution professionals who will be doing all these things. Now guys, when the insolvency is taken, any insolvency professional who is seeing all this process, he has two options. Either he can liquidate the persons or the company or the partnership which is under the question. Liquidation means there all the assets will be sold and the money will be given. Or there could be the revival. What is revival? The assets etc. will not be sold. Rather, this entire business will be given to another person who can run it more efficiently and can revive it. Is it clear? Now guys, when the revival is an option, there are some people who are invited that okay, you bid on this particular project and we will give you if you promise to the revival of this thing. Now guys, here NCLAT had said that once any person who had bid for a project's revival, he cannot make a U-turn. He cannot refuse after agreeing to the project's buying. So guys, this particular thing was very much needed because many a times it has been said that people make a bid and then they make a U-turn. So NCLAT, that is National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, had said that U-turn cannot be made. Now guys, as we are talking about the IBC, See, if any company or any LLP, that is the limited liability partnership, has to file for the insolvency, then their case will be seen by the NCLT, that is National Company Law Tribunal. And if any individual or partnership are declaring their bankruptcy, their case will be declared, they will be seen by the DRT, that is the Debt Recovery Tribunal. So guys, that's all about these particular article. I hope you have understood it all, and now we'll go to the question section. Now, guys, please pause the video and try to answer the question. Question number one is with respect to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number two is with respect to the IIP. Please read the statement and identify the incorrect code. Question number three is with respect to the Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices, CACP. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number four is with respect to the platform champions. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. So guys, that's all for today's question. I hope you are liking our discussion. Thank you so much.